You can't do what you just did and feel the same. You feel differently, and the room feels differently, right? Let's go back and sing it straight and see how that feels. Hello, and welcome to the Organist Launchpad, which is sponsored by the Royal Canadian College of Organists. My name is Brainerd Blyden-Taylor. I'm a conductor living and working in Toronto and doing both church work and working with a professional choir internationally and locally. I'm here in Montreal with my colleague Rashaan Allwood at the organ and with a wonderful pickup choir that's been put together just for this purpose, and we've just met each other. And we're going to spend the next little while talking about music down in my soul. Now, the piece that we're going to sing is called Music Down in My Soul, but we're also wanting to invite people to understand and embody some of what's inherent in the music that we perform. And this seems like a wonderful piece with which to demonstrate that. So we're just going to get singing it, do a bit of a masterclass. We're going to sing it a bit straight, if we can use that word. And then we're just going to try playing around with it a little bit and seeing where we go. Okay, choir. Let's read it through.
I
Thank you. How'd that feel? Feel all right? It felt straight? You're happy? Yeah. First of all, this music should really be done standing up, right? You know, it's hard to do it sitting down, but we're not going to stand up because we're gonna wreck the shot. But you know, let's spend a little time just sort of digging into it a little bit more and just kind of figuring out some things that we could do with it. I mean, some of this is very subjective. A lot of it is, again, kind of what's in my heart and my mind at the moment. But it's just understanding the piece a little bit, you know. And at the beginning of the piece, what the organist does, or what the pianist does, and Rashaan is doing a really, really wonderful job, he begins to set up the relationship between us and him, you know, us including me and you and him, right? Because it's a conversation that starts on the keyboard instrument. And like so much of the music of the spiritual, and even music that comes from the gospel tradition, which grew out a lot from the spiritual, is this whole idea of call and response. And we see the same thing happening in terms of not just the music that we sing, but the style of worship in the black church, the style of preaching in the black church, because, you know, where a lot of ministers in other denominations might be a little bit taken aback if all of a sudden they said something and someone went, "Preach it, brother!" You know, they kind of go, "Who was that?" You know, this kind of thing. Not in black church. We kind of like when that kind of interaction happens. And that interaction also happens a lot with the musicians. They will support the minister, and they will understand the rhythm of his vocal text. And they'll all of a sudden, without even being told, they'll start giving shots on the organ, you know, to be like, "Oh!" And the Lord says, "Yes! Hey, 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 yes, yeah!" And that kind of stuff, right? But, you know, so it's like, I'd love to get every pipe organist everywhere to be able to just do a little bit of that noise and just feel, you know, this instrument can do that. And yes, it can do Bach, and yes, it can do all these other wonderful things. So this is what happens. And the organist starts this piece like this. Let's make that even more fluid if we can. And that's a signal. That's a signal. If you were just milling around and you heard that, you would kind of go, "Oh, something, something." So again, it's a little play. Partly it's that interaction, but also the next words that we sing are, "I hear music in the air," right? And then we finish that and the organist does something else. You think he's finished, but no, he gives you another little lick. And you go, and now you're beginning to wind up a little bit, which leads us to the next set of words. I can feel it. And the organist has already begun, or the accompanist has already begun to push us into these feels that we're going to do. So how we sing those opening chords. Let's just start with the chorus, please. I hear music without the... So we could do this, and... Good, let's take it a little bit softer, and let's be a bit more introspective, and like, where is that coming from? A little bit, and... Don't lose your core when you're singing softly. Still keep that edge, that anticipation. Let's try it again. I don't know what I'm going to do this time. And did not give you a crescendo, but some of you seem to want to take it, which is interesting, because maybe that's what you're feeling in the moment. But I invite you to work with your conductor. Okay? And then we get this. Let's try that again. I can feel in the air. So we can play around with that, and it can be done any different way. And now we have these shots. So sometimes, I've heard a lot of choirs do this, and right, but I'd like to invite us to think a little bit more emphatically about what this is. Because now we are getting a bit more engaged with what's happening in the moment, what we're beginning to feel inside. And we're going to come back and talk about this in just a second. But when we sing must, I want those vowels to be taller. I'd like them to be warmer. I'd like them to be a bit more emphatic, right? So now we are imitating that preacher. So if the choir wasn't singing and it was just a preacher, we might hear this. I hear music in the air. Hallelujah. I can feel it. I can feel it in the air. There must be a God. Let me say that again. There must be a God. Can I get an amen? And then the congregation kind of just, you get that kind of interplay, right? Somewhere. And then he wait in the moment and just see who got, right? So we can do that. We can affect that a little bit. Let's just pick it up from right there. There must, you got your notes still? Rashaan is kind to you. And I wanted to see how pro you were. Here we go. That's all right. Here we go. And there must be that begins to call out a bit of a response. Make that more emphatic, right? And again, you can color it and you can put whatever. Now, to just talk about my friend Moses Hogan a little bit, whose arrangement we're doing. It's hard to believe that it's been 20 years since his passing. He passed 20 years ago, I believe, on the 11th of February, just passed. And when I told him that I wanted to start a professional chamber choir dedicated to Afrocentric music of all styles and kinds, he looked at me and he said, you're crazy, Brainerd. I said, it's what's in my heart. And he said, no, really. I've been thinking about because he was on my first advisory board. And he said, I've been thinking about it, and I've been looking around the worldwide, and he says, maybe there's 3, 4 choirs around the world that are trying to do the breadth of music that you're intending to do, And then we came back around to him and his choirs and his music. So this is an interesting piece that we're doing right now, because Moses used to get quite irritated when people called his choir a gospel choir. He said, we're not a gospel choir. We're a choir that's dedicated to the Negro spiritual. And that is what he spent his life devoted to doing, exposing people all around the world to the Negro spiritual. And in the style and in the tradition of William Dawson, who came out of Tuskegee, Moses arranged these pieces like this. Moses was a brilliant concert pianist who could have been on every concert stage in the world as a concert pianist and dedicated himself to doing this. So when he was asked to make this arrangement, he said because they wanted a gospelized version of a spiritual. And he agreed to do it, and he agreed to write it out as long as and only if the spiritual could be recognized. And so after we have this opening section, now we hear the spiritual. And then we hear little inklings of what's coming beyond it. But here we are. Let's just read the spiritual as it is. Let's start right from the, let's start right at bar 16. So just on the bar of our entry. And And just so that, the verse wouldn't stand alone, he brings it back again a second time, which we're going to do. My invitation here is, even though it's soft, and it starts soft, I'd like for us to just warm up our approach to words like head. Think a little ahead with the H. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, right? Because that's kind of more, that's closer to how it might have been sung by a solo voice or by a group of people. And you have to understand again where this comes from. So, harking back to the opening of the piece and just hearing that, I hear music in the air. It's challenging. The spiritual is such an important body of music. It's a body of music that is really subversive. Think about it. Here's a group of people who were enslaved. They take away their drums, they take away, they mix them up so a lot of people didn't speak the same languages, and they, would split families, they would do that kind of stuff. And here's a group of people that created a music that sang freedom into existence. Think about it. Think about all the spirituals that you know. Some were happy, some were sad, but all of them were about hope and promise and about what could be. It's possibility thinking is really what it is, right? So imagine, you are watching a loved one or a colleague tied between two stakes and being whipped, and you can't do a thing to go help them or save them, right? And they're feeling the lash. And all of a sudden, a voice will start. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Or they could be nobody knows the trouble, and the community starts to sing. And this is what goes out, and this is what undergirds, and this is what lifts. So when we know things like this, it becomes less easy to just go and. It becomes a little less easy to do that, right? Because if you're connected to your body and if you're connected to the emotions behind it and you're connected to that's where sometimes, and we cheat a little bit when I invite you to go head and music, right? Because it's a stylistic thing, but it helps to take us there. Let's try. 2, 3, over my head. Let's try that. Music in the air. Just separate it out a little bit. Just articulate it. We could still use a little bit more of that H. Head. Over my head. Yeah? Just paint it a little bit. Right on it again. And over my head. What's your pitch? What's your pitch? Yeah? It's just 2 and T. Over my head. My still needs to be brighter. Music in the air. Over my head. Bend it now. Does that make sense? And then we set it up a little bit more. And this time we bring singing in the air, which just underscores some of what I just shared with you, because it's about inspiring and lifting and moving the community. And then we get into, Moses goes, okay, you've given us the spiritual, now we can get down to what this is, right? And the reason we can feel it in the air is because it really is inside. I've got this music down in my soul, right? So we want these big round vowels as well, right? And we want to speak it. So I'm going to invite you to look at where those accents are. I've got this music down in my soul, and just really sort of bite into that. And then basses and tenors, don't be late. Just underscore it. Soul, and it fills my heart with the joy of the Lord. I've got this music, right? And see, he takes the I've out here and he just goes, I got, right? So sometimes we float in and out of it, okay? All right, let's try it, right there. Bum, 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 bee.
Oh, just right on?
Just pick up 2 1. Here we go, 1, 2. I've got this music down in my soul, and it fills my heart with the joy of the Lord. Good, let's try that just again. Just upper voices, please. 1 and 2, and I've got this music down in my soul. Good, think ahead. Music down in my soul, right? There's a lot of subliminal stuff here going on. A lot of arrangers of the spiritual will arrange them in certain ways where you can hear that clickety-clack of the train. We all know it wasn't a rail train. We all know what the Underground Railroad was, right? It was a bunch of people who moved a bunch of people around in a lot of different ways. But there's a lot of the arrangements of the spiritual will bring that out. And without telling anybody, this is what's going on here a little bit too. I've got this music down in my soul, and it fills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and I've got this music down in my soul, and it fills my heart with the joy of the Lord. I've got this music down in my soul, and it fills my heart with the joy. Now speak. I've got joy. I've got a joy everlasting. I've got a peace everlasting. I've got a love everlasting. Joy. There we go. Everlasting love in my heart. Oh yes, I've got peace in my soul. Oh yes, I've got joy in my heart. Joy today. My friend Linda Tillery used to have a statement. Sometimes she'd be talking to a room full of people and all of a sudden she'd stop. She'd say, you know what? It's time to change the molecular structure of the room. Floyd's heard me say it more than once. And she'd start singing. You can't do what you just did and feel the same. You feel differently, and the room feels differently, right? Let's go back and sing it straight and see how that feels. I crack myself up sometimes when I think about it, because it's so hard to do. But let's try. 1, 2. I've got this music down in my soul, and it fills my heart with the joy of the Lord. I've got this music down in my soul, and it fills. You know, and I'm watching at you, and you're all laughing and smiling and everything. And you know, it's fun, because even doing it like this, I can hear the smile in your voice, and I can feel the Spirit just waiting to get let loose. You know, so it's kind of important. It's kind of important that we do this. So then we get into the bits, I've got joy, I've got peace, I've got love. And those are all really, really important elements of what it is to be a conscious and caring human being. Truly. And I kept saying in round of vowels, and the more you did that, the sound gets really tall and it's really spot on in the middle. So keep doing that. Can we do that? Okay, let's just pick it from there. I got joy, I've got it, joy. There's a nice accent, right? It's like a stressed staccato, an accented staccato. Joy. So just put it right in the middle, right? And then the same thing happens with peace and love. And again, that's just, it's a way of speaking. It's a way in which the preaching might have happened. Because he wouldn't just say peace, joy, love. You know, he would emphasize them, or she would emphasize them, or they would emphasize them in a particular manner. Does that make sense? All right. So let's pick it up. Sopranos, hear your notes? Ti-ta-ta. 1, 2. I've got joy. Think ahead. Remember, as we were beginning to work on the piece, I said I wanted to land on joy. So I got joy, rather. I got joy. Don't be late there. I got joy. Take it right there. 1, 2. I got joy. I've got a joy everlasting. Right? So when they do that, that prompts a much sharper response from you. Sorry, didn't mean to spit at you. That prompts a much sharper response from you. Okay? Do a lazy response. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I've got joy, I've got it. Doesn't work so much, right? So take them to it. So again, if a preacher were preaching and said, I've got joy, you know, and somebody goes, yes, which is really what that, I've got it. And when you say that, you've bought in. I've got it. What? Joy. How? Everlasting. And as I said to you earlier, that everlasting can work a couple of different ways, right? So I've got joy everlasting, or I've got everlasting joy, right? Act as if, and all of a sudden you find that there it is. Okay, sharper response. Here we go. T, 2. I've got joy, I've got a joy everlasting. I've got a peace everlasting. I've got a love. Good. That's better. Now I want you to make more of the everlasting. So when you go, I've got a joy, okay? Make sure that that vowel is nice and round and full, but pull it off quickly so that we can give it just a bit more attention to that everlasting, everlasting, love, everlasting, everlasting, right? So you pull it up and then you let it go, okay? I've got it, joy, everlasting. I've got it, love, everlasting. Okay, just make a bit more of it. Ready? Take us there again. 2, 3, 4, 1, and I've got it, joy, everlasting. I've got it, peace, everlasting. There, I saw the change that happened in your face. I looked over there, and all of a sudden you did that, and that's exactly what we need. Just do that. Everlasting. Do it. Everlasting. Rather than everlasting. You know. Everlasting. I've got joy. I've got it, joy. Everlasting. I've got it, peace. Everlasting. Right? The old men hitching up their pants, you know, with their forearms. Whatever takes you to it. It's just a physical motion. You know, I see, look at the laugh on his face. But I saw you do that with your body, man. Let's try it again. Once again. Ba-da-da. Ready? 1, 2. I've got joy everlasting. I've got peace everlasting. I've got love everlasting. I've got joy everlasting. Love in my heart. Oh yes, I've got peace in my soul. Oh yes, I've got joy in my heart. Joy today. 1, 2. Rashaan is listening to you and he's going, and when do I get to play? He's going, man, this is sounding good. You know, let's go. See, just let's go, right? Now, there's another section here. And then the bassists bring us in with this section. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. But do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Right? There's a reference to it in the New Testament of the Christian Bible. So I'm just going to tell you about it and try and keep it short. Peter was a friend of the Master Jesus. Peter liked to be all up in the business, right? I'm right here. This is me. Yep. I got you. What do you need? So when the Master Jesus looked at Peter one day and said, you know, I'm about to undergo something that's really hard. And you're going to deny me. That's a story. We can call it a story, we can call it a myth, but it's connected to what's happening here. You're going to deny me. You're not just going to deny me once. You're going to deny me 3 times. And when you finally realize that you've done it, it's going to hurt. And sure enough, somebody said, I know you. Weren't you with Brainerd the other day? Me? Brainerd? I don't know Brainerd. No, man, I can tell by your accents. You guys hang out together. No, not me. Not me. So it was interesting when Peter had another opportunity. Whatever we think about the resurrection, he had an interaction with an entity that challenged him again. And basically, the Master said to Peter, Peter, do you love me? And Peter says, yes, Lord, you know I love you. And what does the Master say? Feed my sheep. Then he asked him a second time, do you love me? Peter's getting affronted now. Man, I just answered you. Why are you asking me another time? Of course you know I love you. Feed my lambs. Peter, for a third time, I'm going to ask you, do you love me? Yes, Lord. You know I love you. Then feed my sheep. It's all here in the spiritual. And we put it into context because whatever you think of the Master Jesus, see, part of his teachings were who we are as human beings. And we are put on this earth to demonstrate to each other love, joy, peace, all those, in some circles they call them fruits of the Spirit. And by your fruits, you will know them and be known. So again, this isn't even about trying to convert anyone to a particular religion or not. It's inviting one to know these things, to feel these things, to understand these things. Because as the Master Jesus says, inasmuch as you do it unto one of the least of these, you do it unto me. So when Peter denied this person who was his friend, he was denying his own humanity, his own selfhood. That's all of what's wrapped up in here. So we just go, do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Do you? You know, you got to know what that means. Are you willing to be there for the next person? Are you willing to be there for yourself? Are you willing to stand up and be counted when it matters most? This is how we are angels of God to one another. That's what this means. So basically when you go, well, that takes on a whole new set of meaning now. It ain't just, well. Right? You think we can try? Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. You want to sing it straight first, or you want to sing it with a deeper understanding? Deeper understanding. All right. Okay, basses, ask us the question and make it matter. 2, 3, and.
Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord.
Think ahead, make those vowels rounder. Use the L to place the vowel. Do you love? Again, think of that. Do you love the Lord? Yeah, when you think of it from a physical point of view, you can feel where that push is rather than, do you love the Lord? Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Right? There's a push. Make the vowels taller and warmer. 2, 3, and.
Do you love the Lord?
I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord?
I love the Lord. I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord.
I want you to think a little ahead of that well. Love the Lord, well, the Lord, well, love the Lord, well, I've got joy, right? It's that whole clickety, 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 well, I've got joy, right? And we know exactly where that is. That's coming along. That's coming along. I'm going to invite you to try that one more time. And I want you to try it this time. You know, I still want the joy in the sound, but I want to hear some of the challenge that's inherent in what the basses are asking. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Do you love? I love the Lord. Do you love? I love the Lord. Do you love? I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord. Right? There's so many emotions that you could just round into all of this kind of thing, right? Just don't sit there and go, I love, yes, I know it. I don't care whether you believe it or not. I just want you to do it believably. And I think you understand what I just shared with you, and you can decide how you tuck that into your own sensibility. Because I don't think any of us, at some point, hasn't felt slighted or less than, or found themselves in an opportunity to go, let me hold you in this moment, right? Feed my sheep, man. Feed my lambs, right? If you love me, go do it. Make something happen. Let's try it again, basses. Challenge them. 2, 3, and.
Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord.
Play along with us, the Lord.
I love the Lord. Do you love the Lord? I love the Lord.
Fight.
I love the Lord. I love the Lord. I love the Lord.
I've got joy. I've got joy.
Everlasting joy. I've got joy. Everlasting. I've got a peace. Everlasting.
Okay, does that make sense? All right, we have 3 minutes? I guess we better sing the whole piece then. Make sense? I don't know, I wasn't paying attention to time. I was having fun. All right. Let's do it. Let's try it again. That's all right. That's all right. Well, I hope a lot of our organist friends will kind of be inspired by you, Rashaan. You know, it can be done on the instrument. It doesn't have to be done on piano. I mean, it's easier on piano. It speaks more immediately on piano, and it works just fine. I think if a lot of our church choirs kind of mixed a little of this in with Stanford and Palestrina and whatever, more people might come to church. Just saying. Anyway, thank you so much for participating in this, and I think we'll take a little break now, and we can talk to each other for a minute, and then Rashaan and I are going to do something else. We're going to do an arrangement of a spiritual called Walk Together Children, arranged for the organ by Dr. Andre Thomas. So just show what can be done with that piece. Thank you. I hope we get to make music together again sometime soon. If not all together, at least some of you. Thank you. And thank you, too, for putting it all together. Thank you all for joining the masterclass this afternoon. Thank you to my colleague Rashaan Allwood, who has demonstrated beautifully, I think, how this piece can work on the organ, on the instrument. It doesn't just have to be piano. And I thank the choir and to Frederica and Gabrielle for putting them all together. And I hope that we've encouraged you to embody some of the music that you do in your congregations and enjoy what can happen. There's a lot of possibility. Thank you so much.